Welcome back, my passive income investors. Today we're bringing down GEO Group, the prison stock. So let's jump right into this, guys. Now, the reason I want to talk about GEO Group, the prison correctional institution, guys, is because I didn't even realize prison stocks were publicly traded and privately owned and managed, guys. It kind of blew my mind. And that happened in the big drug boom of the 80s when there was a lot of, I guess, cocaine, a lot of marijuana, a lot of illegal drugs flowing through the market. The government lost control of the prisons, and they said, you know what, let's let the private sector deal with it, which is when GEO Group became introduced, guys, in 1984, which currently manages 141 prisons, my goodness, with 96,000 beds, which is a super interesting fact. They have a market cap of $2.6 billion, guys. With they only got about 121 shares outstanding, which I thought was kind of interesting, and they have about 18,500 employees. Now, I really want to focus on this one over the other prison stock, which I think is called Core Civic, and it's the only other prison stock. So there really isn't a whole lot of competition for these companies, guys, which makes them also a very interesting sector to look at. The revenue, as you could expect, has grown slowly over time, guys. As the population expands, I'm sure you can understand that crime rate to some extent is going to expand with it. So from 2015, we've gone up from about $1.8 billion in revenue to $2.2 billion, give or take, 50 million. Which you can see listed here as well. And then we have the operating expenses are fairly high, which again you would expect in a prison stock, guys, between the amount of people that you need to manage those kind of prisoners. You're going to need security guards, you're going to need things like that. And you're looking from 2015 of 1.6 billion to 1.9 billion coming up in 2017. And in 2018, I do believe these numbers have gotten a lot better. I do not have their recent books to show up just yet, guys. Their dividend yield has been very fluctuative. They have issued special dividends in the past, which was really interesting because they were really large dividends. But since 2014, they've gone from 57 cents to 47 cents. But somewhere in between, they went up all the way to 70 cents per share in dividend payouts, which was really interesting. And I mean, this fluctuation just comes with expenses and other things and expansion, the whole 9 yards of that, guys. So their dividend does fluctuate a lot, but it's currently paying out over an 8% yield. And you can kind of classify this as a real estate stock, though it isn't listed as a REIT, which is something I really like as well, because usually with REITs, you have to pay a certain class of tax. I don't know what it's like in the States, but in Canada here, you do have to pay a bit of extra tax on your REIT income if you do own real estate investment trust, guys. But this one isn't listed as a REIT, which makes it very interesting to own because you're not going to experience any of those taxes. It'll just be taxed as a regular stock, which I really, really love, guys. Now, there is a lot of reasons to be bullish with this company. I don't see any really to be bearish. It has a lot of volatility, guys. There's a lot of volatility in this since Trump has come into office. And since Trump has come in, he set a lot of things into motions with all this border patrol stuff going on, guys. A lot of immigrant problems, which means they're probably locking a lot of extra people up. But there's also the other side to it, too, with the legalization of marijuana. No one's puffing up as much, guys, or going to jail for it anyways. So you're probably not going to see as many. And I think they're also going to start releasing, I'm not sure if they have to finish their sentences for the people that had prior marijuana charges. But here in Canada, a lot of people have just been getting marijuana fines. They've stopped imprisoning people to save taxpayers money, and they want to cut back on that huge burden that puts on the government and taxpayers, putting those stoners in prison, guys. So that is another reason that you might see some of these stocks come down a bit as well. I'm surprised that news hasn't hit any of this at all because, again, Trump has been very forthgoing, and he's actually been giving extra licensing and special things to help deal with some of the immigration problems to a GEO Group, which is, why I say lovely if you are a shareholder. Now, the fun thing about these prison stocks, guys, is you pay for it. The taxpayer pays for these prison stocks, which is another thing I really love.
They call themselves private prisons, but they are privately run, publicly financed. Yeah. It is our taxpayer money that goes to these very corporations that push for policies that incarcerate us.
So it's the only real estate in the world that is backed by the government, in my opinion. So these 96,000 beds, again, obviously not all of them are full. I can't remember what the full ratio is here, but we're paying for that, guys. And I'm sure you've heard that when someone goes to prison, it's like they're getting free rent, because it basically costs taxpayers, I think, $40,000 to $50,000 a year to maintain those prisoners, and somehow within those maintenance bills, we as shareholders get pocketed a pretty healthy dividend, might I say, guys. It's really interesting. So looking at that, you can also see the old prisoner problem, like I said, from the boomed 80s, the big drug problems in the 80s, guys. There's a lot of people that got life sentences, a lot of gang members, people that committed murders, horrible things, big drug dealers. They got life sentences, guys, where they're going to be spending literally to the point where they die in prison, and it's becoming a huge problem because they need extra assistance. And what they've done is they've actually taken prisoners and they've trained them, because they can pay them way less than minimum wage, obviously. And I don't know if they train them, but they've allowed prisoners to start groups to help care for the elderly in the prison, so they don't feel like they have to die alone in prison, guys. It's kind of a sad thing. It's a very weird, interesting world where you don't have to follow the same kind of rules and regulations like being outside of prison. So there's some moral fundamentals that go along with this as well. I try and look away from the morality of it, because again, it's just the current reality that exists that we're playing in here, guys. Prison stocks are prison stocks, guys. They have been around now for quite a while. Like I said, this company's existed since 1984, so it has an amazing track record. The performance rate on this company has been, like I said, absolutely absurd. It's one of these kind of like under the radar stocks no one really talks about too much, but I think it should be a part of everybody's portfolio to some extent. It only makes up about 3% of my current portfolio, guys, and I have an average buy price of $22.41, and I have it set up currently on a drip, so it will be buying back shares with the dividends I get paid out. Stock is down a little bit. I am negative about 5% on this one in the red, but with the volatility in this stock, I still think I got in at a good buy price. And again, with the dividend reshare buybacks, I should be getting, and again, I think they're quarterly payments, but with those quarterly payments, I should be getting this a little cheaper. I do want to see this make up about 5% of my portfolio. I just got a starter position in it this year, guys, so I'm hoping we're going to see some healthy returns over the long term with this stock. Their dividend, again, you're not really looking at a dividend growth company here, but again, in the very, very long term, if you spread it out, the dividend has actually increased, but there's so much volatility with it, but you can usually expect somewhere between that 7 to 9-10% yield off this company, which to me is wildly impressive, that I can make money off you going to jail. So let me tell you a fact here that I find super interesting. You can own a company like Constellation Brands or any of the like Molson that make the beers and the alcohols, guys, and you can get, I just think this is an odd reality, is like you can own those companies or be shareholders in them, get paid dividends for people that go out and party and drink and like getting drunk. And then those people go out, they get so wasted on your product, they end up having an accident, killing somebody, or something horrible happens, guys, or they do something stupid. Then they end up going to jail for a few years or whatever ends up happening. And while they're in prison, our taxpayers are paying for them to be there, which you can also own and make money on. And you kind of can get this full circle thing going on. If you really want to get into it, a lot of people smoke in prison, guys. So then you can go and own the tobacco stocks and make money off these prisoners while they're in jail on top of that, guys. There's this weird circle that I find goes on as soon as I found out that you could own these kind of companies, guys. I just see this full spinning circle of just things that are unfortunate, but they happen to people, guys, and some people just don't have self-control, and you can kind of own that realm of reality. And it's one of these moral debates, guys. If you think you have the moral, like there's some kind of moral debate that comes on about this and how morally sound owning companies like this are they appropriate, are they doing the right things, guys? People that really doesn't want to know what's going on inside the prison, guys, it's just a necessary evil, and it is a necessary evil I like having as part of my portfolio. So let me know, what do you guys think in the comments section below? If you want to know exactly how much I own of GEO Group, you can take my stock market course. It's Stock Market 101, guys, in the description below. That will actually, I break down my entire portfolio and what I own in the exact percentages, and I have about a 6-figure portfolio right now, guys, which is pretty fun and interesting. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of this prison stock. Do you own it? Do you like it? Are you considering buying it? Let me know. Remember, guys, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not here to advise you on investing. I'm just here to get you comfortable with stocks and investment decisions and my own personal journey, guys. So stay cool, stay awesome, and I'll see you tomorrow.